today, Mr. Grant Stinchfield. Do I say that right?
You did? Yep, you absolutely did.
I mean, we're so honored that you are on the show. You have, you're a seasoned news reporter, journalist, and you are very thought-provoking.
Opinion. I don't like to call myself a journalist anymore. I spent 20 years in mainstream media, and I'm ashamed of that job.
Why?
Well, the way the media has turned out. I've got 4 Emmy Awards, and I use them as paperweights. They're useless. They're ridiculous.
What?
So I'm an opinionator now. I'm not a journalist. What you get from me is my opinion. Now I base it in facts and truth, but I'm not unbiased by any means. I'm 100% biased.
And he's very outspoken on social media.
Well,
I love it.
is there any other way to be?
No.
Do you get a lot of pushback on social media?
Oh my gosh, I get so much hate.
Do you fight a lot? You do?
I don't fight them back. I swat the bee's nest, and I let them all buzz around, and then I just let them go and then wait till swat the bee's nest again.
Wow.
So do you get censored a lot?
I was deplatformed from YouTube, so there's certain. If you guys are on YouTube, right?
Yes.
I hope me just being here isn't going to get you deplatformed from YouTube, but that won't happen. But there's certain topics we can't talk about.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I'll be careful not to talk about them because YouTube will shut you down. Election stuff, COVID vaccine stuff, all these things that I really talk about a lot. They shut me down. I mean, when I say deplatform me, they disintegrated me. I sat on the couch with my son. We're going to watch an NBA playoff game, and my YouTube TV is not working, and I'm flipping through, and I'm like, my son who's 14, he looks at me and goes, Dad, they shut your YouTube TV off.
Even YouTube TV?
Even YouTube TV. That's how much they hate the message.
Wow.
Oh, well.
Wow.
What about
you really are causing problems.
Yes.
What about TikTok and Instagram? And
So I'm on TikTok, and I use a burner phone because I have issues with TikTok. Because TikTok, the Chinese are following us. Every single move. You go through the policies. If you read them, TikTok has access to your microphone, your camera, your contacts, your keystrokes. This is in their own write-up. So when you guys are on TikTok and you're putting in Chase Bank, here's my password, China's getting that. So I use a burner phone for TikTok. I don't use my regular phone. I use only for TikTok.
wow.
Because I want to reach young people, and that's where you reach young people.
Yeah. And I think you can't get as pushed back on TikTok. You can see the truth a little bit more, right?
Maybe. I don't know. They
No.
shut me down for some silly things sometimes. They'll punish me. And then I'll appeal it. And more than most, they'll grant the appeal. They say, okay, you're right. But sometimes there's ridiculous things they just take my video down for.
And then do you get less views if you're controversial? Like almost like
You
they
know,
hide you?
I'm still building my TikTok. My
Yeah.
TikTok's not great. I've got one video that has 1,000,005 views. That was my record on TikTok. But most of them, I get a couple thousand views, and that's it.
What about Instagram? Do you have
Instagram's
more-
my spot. That's,
Yeah.
Do you have more freedom on there?
Well, no.
I was going to
No.
say there's no way.
No. I have to be very careful on Instagram too. And that I have to be careful because I make money off my Instagram. So I've got to be really careful about getting deplatformed there.
And
Wow.
Facebook?
Facebook, I don't use that often.
No.
I think it like automatically posts
Yeah.
to Facebook, but I should be using Facebook because all the people that follow me are over 60 and they probably love Facebook. So
That's true.
it is.
My gosh. I want to know your journey. How did you get
Yeah.
started? Like, what made you want to become a journalist?
So I left college. I went to work for family construction business in New York City. I'm half Italian. I love New York until New York totally changed. And so 20 years ago, I came to Dallas. I was working in mainstream media. I went from Missoula, Montana, Fort Myers, Florida, Hartford, Connecticut, New York City, and Hartford, and then Dallas. And I worked for Channel 5 in Dallas for almost 10 years, I guess, as an investigative reporter.
Wow.
Wow. So were you on TV like in the stuff?
Yeah, like I was the
Oh.
guy standing on a bridge telling you to drive slow when it's drizzling. Hey, it's drizzling.
Yeah.
Drive slow.
Okay.
And then everybody watches, and then they get mad at you for doing it. I'm like, yeah, but the ratings were through the roof. Why were you watching? If you don't like it, why were you watching?
Why
Right.
did they
tell
even
you.
get mad?
Yeah.
Oh, because they think it's ridiculous to cover weather nonstop when it's like drizzling,
Oh.
right?
Oh, yeah. Okay, I get it.
So I went from there. I left. I started my own business. I owned an oil change shop called a Quick Car. I think many people in Dallas area know what a Quick Car is with a K. Started a trucking company. I had 15, 18-wheelers. I ran for FedEx. I just sold that a year ago.
Wow.
And all the while doing my conservative media. And so I helped the NRA launch NRA TV. Did that for a few years, then that went kaput with all the lawsuits and the NRA issues. Along the way, I'd run for Congress. I lost that race. Then I did afternoon drive radio in Dallas. And then ultimately that led to Newsmax, but I got basically canceled from Newsmax. And then
Because you wouldn't talk bad about Tucker Carlson.
because
and
I wouldn't
stuff?
talk bad about Tucker Carlson, yeah. And I love Newsmax. I miss Newsmax. I really do. I love that job. It really was my dream job. So,
Oh man.
How long did you do that?
I was there 2.5 years, and I was doing prime time just about 2 years.
Oh, wow.
So, but that led, I do morning drive radio in Los Angeles now, and I have my podcast, which is going great. I urge everyone, GrantStinchfield.com, GrantStinchfield.com.
Yeah.
And then Real America's Voice, which is a great network, all streaming platform. But Real America's Voice is great. I'm totally unbridled. Nobody censors me.
Oh.
The boss is there, the CEOs, the show is called Stinchfield, and Stinchfield has 100% control.
That's great,
Yeah.
though.
Great.
Yeah.
Great.
You have to love that.
Love. So,
Can you invite any guest on? They can say whatever they want.
yes, would you two like to come on?
Of
We'll
course.
do it. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Do you have ever, or do you get the opportunity to talk to people in a debate way that think differently than you do? Has that ever happened, or you can't seem to get the other side to debate?
You know what's so funny is the other side has a problem with debating. Is as soon as you start to win the debate, they shut down. They lose their shit,
Mhm.
Yeah.
right? And you can't argue. So I tell people a lot: if you have anybody, it doesn't matter, liberal or conservative, there's somebody on the other side that is no way is going to agree with you. They're just so far to the other side of where
Yeah.
you're. Don't waste your breath on them. It isn't worth it. You're never going to convince them. Find those people that are curious. So I'm a conservative. I'm a hardcore conservative, and I find people that are curious. They ask questions. Well, why wouldn't you show ID to vote? As soon as somebody asks me that question, I know. Oh, well, this guy I can talk to.
Okay.
He's reasonable.
Yeah, you have to kind of gauge the.
Yes. So do I get to debate? I used to debate the other side on my program, but I got huge pushback from viewers. They just didn't want to see it.
Mm-hmm.
And so you get overwhelmed. Why do you have that guy on? So I just stopped doing it because it wasn't worth the headache.
Yeah, I can understand that.
Yeah.
So over the years, your long careers, there's something that stands out that
Mm-hmm.
tell
Oh,
me.
That was very confident.
Yeah.
9/11. So I was one of the first to get to ground zero,
No.
working for
What?
WNBC in New York.
Oh, I kind of got goosebumps.
And
Oh.
yeah, it was really shaped in many respects who I am today, witnessing that. I mean, I didn't witness the towers come down, but I was there shortly after.
Like how long after?
A couple hours.
What
I was
was
trying to get from
that
Midtown
like?
down, and it was very difficult to do. So I was
Yeah.
in Midtown, and then I spent the next, 2-3 weeks just nonstop, not really sleeping.
That had to be
Um,
crazy.
Yeah, what was that like?
I will never forget the faces and the fear that I saw on people's faces. People covered in dust, and see absolute terror on someone's face. I'd never actually witnessed that firsthand.
Mm.
And to witness terror on someone's face, I said to myself, I don't ever want to see that again. So I'm very big on the whole war on terror. Like, we can't forget that there are holy warriors out there that literally want to destroy us. They'd like nothing than to march us to the beach, kneel us down, and lop our heads off.
Oh my gosh.
The reality. But this is a fun podcast. We don't want to
I
talk about all
know,
that.
But it's
This
still
is-
this thing.
We do all the things.
Yeah.
So
Hey, we can go on a roller coaster.
We
We're fine.
roller coaster. So anyway, really, what I remember most about 9/11 was the greatness of people of that city and how they came together. Witnessing, I worked for a brief time at Four World Trade Center for AIG trading gold for them in the commodities pit. Not one person I knew died that day, which was really just
Wow.
an absolute miracle. And I knew a lot of people in those buildings. Everybody
Wow.
got out. And so, but I do remember when I got there, paper.
Mm.
Paper
Paper
everywhere.
everywhere.
Paper, office paper.
Ugh.
Everything else was a fine dust. And I had that grit and like
Oh my gosh.
chalk in my mouth for almost 2 weeks. I couldn't get it out of
No
my mouth.
way.
And I thought it was the taste of death.
I was
mean,
about to say that.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Wow.
So that probably had the most effect on my life
I can.
of
I
all
mean,
the stories I've covered. And I've covered a lot, from hurricanes and,
yeah.
Would you stand in the
corruption.
hurricanes outside?
Of course. Getting blown
You
around.
ever get blown over?
I don't know if I ever actually fell down, but Yeah.
I like watching the news compilation bloopers on YouTube. They're
Oh, it's
very
hilarious.
funny.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, people want to see the train wreck.
Yeah,
That's
of
why they're
course.
watching.
It's so very funny though.
Yeah.
So what if someone says you're reporting fake news, for instance? Does that happen? And if it does, what do you do about it?
Well, it never happens that I report fake news because I literally have the facts nailed down every time.
Right.
So they can't argue with me. They can try to argue with me, but they're not going to get very far. And they know that as soon as we start to get in some kind of a debate, whether it's, I don't really debate, like I said, on social media.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't engage in that much. I might do a couple, or they'll send me like death threats, and I'll just send them a little kissy face.
You get
That's
death
all I do.
threats?
When I worked for the
death
NRA, I used to get them all the time. The
What?
NRA was death threats almost on a daily basis. They hate the idea that we could protect ourselves. I don't know why. The left just despises it.
Wow. But then I think it's wild that then they'll threaten your life.
Yeah, then they'll threaten my life. Right, exactly. And they'll tell me about what
Makes
they're going
no
to do with a shotgun and these horrible things. But then I just send a little kissy face back. That sets them
Then
off
I was
even
just
more.
going to
Yeah.
say that makes it worse, I'm
Yeah,
sure.
they don't like that at all.
Yeah.
Wow.
Do you have advice for any aspiring journalists?
Yeah,
That I
run.
Don't get into
God.
it. No.
Mainstream media is useless today. I think alternative media doing what you guys are doing, this type of podcast, when news breaks, I go to social media before I turn on the news.
Same.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, you're going for people you trust. I say go down that way. Some of these alternative media outlets, like Real America's Voice, I would even include Newsmax in many respects there, One America News. These outlets, you go to work for some of these startups, Daily Caller, Daily Wire, Town Hall, all of these, Breitbart, all of these outlets probably could make a career there.
Mm-hmm.
And if you get in early at some of these outlets, you could maybe make some money.
Mm-hmm.
Mainstream media, there's no money unless you make it really big.
So I have a question because I feel like I felt the shift so big. I always liked the news, but I always liked the news. I mean, I know it sounds crazy, but like the Susan Smith stories, right? The mom that drove her kids in the lake.
Yeah. And what's the other one? The McDonoughs or whatever they made. What was that one? With the
Oh, I don't know.
I don't know. All those kind of
Yeah.
news, but they used to be on the news nonstop for days, weeks, months, whatever. Well, there was this the kids that got stuck in the mine, and I forget what it was, Thailand.
Okay.
It's a few years
And
ago.
I heard that, and I was like, oh my gosh, these poor kids, and I wanted to get involved, and I turned on all the news channels, and all
There
I
was
saw was
nothing.
politics, and
Yeah.
I was like, wait, what happened? Why are they not telling the story?
Yeah.
Then I did a little bit of research, and then I saw that all these people bought all the news channels, and that's why there's only politics on TV now. Do you know anything about this? Is this the truth? I don't know.
Well,
Because there's no more regular news on news.
there's no more regular news. And I think you have two things at play. I think, one, people don't want to see regular news, right? So people say they might want unbiased news, but people pick their side and they want to see what they want to see.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's why you see MSNBC on one side and Fox News on the other. Fox News is somewhat of a disappointment now as the way the direction it's going. But that gets back to your point. There is something called the deep state. President Trump coined that phrase, the deep state. I call it a ruling class of career politicians, a ruling class of elitists. They're all toast and scotches in the bottom of the Capitol, and the joke is on all of us. Those are the people that control the mainstream media outlets. They don't want the system to change. They like the system the way it is. The system's rigged in their favor. So the last thing they want is real news. Now, I would offer up that some of those stories, they're still airing the trials if it's salacious. If it's salacious stories, they will air those trials.
Like Johnny Depp and Amber Heard.
Like Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. That's a great example. You have literally Fox News is covering that because it's salacious. And that's what people want to see. But we live in a TMZ world.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right.
Right? Like
Yeah.
they don't want their news, which is, I'm in some respects, I'm surprised by the success of podcasts. Because podcasts, now you could listen for an hour, 2 hours. Joe Rogan, he's the king of podcasts. He could have a 3-hour podcast.
Yep.
And I always said people want their news in like 1 minute, 2 minutes. They don't want to listen. But now all of a sudden, in some respects, there's a shift. Like they're willing to listen But I guess when it comes to news, it's still a headline news mentality.
Yeah. Well, and I think too with podcasts, you can listen while you're walking, while you're driving, while you're working out, and you don't have to even watch it sometimes.
But
you just
also,
listen.
it's right there when you come back. That's the cool
Yeah, you
part.
can pick it up
that's
and leave
true.
it off.
Mhm.
Yes. But with streaming platforms today too, you can do all that now.
So when you started, it wasn't like it is now.
No.
Clearly. No.
No, I started in 1993 in Missoula, Montana, making $14,000 a year as a reporter for a little tiny station. And I had a big deck I had to carry on. I shot all my own video with the camera and recorded on a
Oh
thing that
my
you
gosh.
held.
Do you still have those?
I have probably some of those reels
That would be pretty
someplace.
funny.
Yeah,
You
wow.
should post those.
No, I don't want to.
Why? That's funny. I bet that was very like the film just alone.
Oh, but it was great because that was a time when I think there was more of a sense of community amongst at least local news. You were part of the community.
Mhm.
It wasn't all about the bottom line. It certainly was about the bottom line, but not all about the bottom line. You had a certain sense of you had to take care of your community as a local news station. That stuff's gone today.
When did you notice that change?
I would say in 2008 when the economy started to tank. I was at Channel 5, and I started to see I couldn't do stories I wanted to do. So I'll give you an example. 2008, who goes out of business first? Car dealerships and furniture companies. Who's the advertisers for local TV stations? Car dealerships and furniture companies. So there was a older woman scammed by a local car dealership, and I'm an investigative reporter. I want to do a story on that. No, you can't. Well, they're advertisers. Well, there was a time where that was separate. News and advertising was separate. If you had something to do and they weren't advertising, you'd do it anyway. Now they're advertising. You can't touch that. So
that's when you started to notice it.
That's when I started to notice it. And then in 2011, I was standing on a bridge, the High Five, basically just been built. And I'm reporting on trucks sliding down the High Five. Talk about Soleil's, like very exciting to watch the ice on the. And I thought to myself, a monkey could do this job. And I had my microphone and I set it down after my live shot was over. I set it down. I said, I got to find something else to do. I'm either going to get fired or because they're paying me too much money for local news. I look back now, it wasn't any money, but for local news, it was a good salary for a reporter. I said, they're going to fire me. So I put that microphone down. I said, I got to find a business. And that's when I found my oil change business. And I bought the property. It was a real estate play with it. I had 15 guys working for me, supported my family for 7 years, paying off the property. And this is the thing with media. People have never signed the front of a check. They sign the back of checks, right? They're constantly have a job. They've never been a business owner. They don't know what it's like to make payroll.
Right.
They don't know what it's like to struggle, to have costs of goods go up. The media don't know any of these things.
I don't know. That's interesting.
And then they want to preach to us. Screw you. Right?
I agree.
love it.
I love it too. I want to know. I know you said the paperweights, but what are the 4 Emmys for? That's pretty incredible.
I don't even know if I remember. One was for a half-hour children's program, which was the greatest destination education. And literally, I just went around all summer trying to find fun places for kids to go with your parents.
In Dallas or everywhere?
Hartford, Connecticut.
Oh, okay.
And that was fun. Another one was for identity theft. Before identity theft was really big, we had a lot of national laws passed because of this investigate. It was a whole series. We did like 25 pieces on identity theft before it was a thing. The other one was for a cold case series I did. We were doing cold cases, and we helped solve a murder in Waterbury, Connecticut.
What?
And this young man was driving home from the gym at like 1 o'clock in the morning, was working late, gets shot in the head, driving his car, and they could never find him. Well, we do this whole retrace his steps, to interview the police, and it really wasn't anything we did, but we're airing the story, and a mom is watching the story, and her kid's acting weird.
No.
While they're watching the story, this is like 5 years later, and she calls the cops. She says, my kid was acting weird.
Wow, he must have been acting really weird.
So the cop comes and interviews the kid. The kid admits to it. He was in the car, rolls on 6 other kids in the car. They go arrest everybody. And sure enough, they said he cut him off, and they drive up next to him and shoot him.
It's like road rage.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my goodness.
Dang.
And then the other one was on how easy it is to get heroin. and how middle managers in business are addicted to heroin. And we followed this insurance guy around who worked for an insurance company, and we had him taking out his last $100 out of the ATM, and then we were going to get him buying his drugs. He said, this is why you don't trust druggies, okay?
No way.
He says, I told my drug dealer you're going to be here, and he wouldn't show his face. I said, yeah, perfect. I'm not going to show his face, but I want to get this. Well, he didn't tell his drug dealer. His drug dealer shows up, and he's like, wants to kill us.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you. That has
pulls
to
a
be
gun
dangerous.
on my photographer and I, and I'm like, yo, dude, back the F up. Like, we're not here to kill you. Like, just go about your business.
Yeah.
And he left. He says, well, I'll be back. Well, we hightailed it out of there.
Yeah, no.
We had some of that on. So all that's the 4.
That's
Four
amazing.
Crazy.
That has
Yeah.
to feel good, though, to win that.
Yeah,
When this is your job.
looking back, it was good, but you know. It
Now
is-
he's like, huh.
Now we got a country to save. It's much bigger than me getting Emmys.
Well, how are you going about that?
Just talking as
Yeah.
many people as I possibly
Yeah.
can. I mean, I don't want to get into too many politics on your show because I don't want to get you guys in trouble. but I just talk to everybody.
You are a guest, so you can
Yeah.
talk about
Well-
whatever you want to talk about.
Well, look, I think we're in dire straits right now.
Yeah.
I think our country is really, really hurting. Have you ever seen this song, this Rich Men North of Richmond? Have you seen this? It's
Mm-mm.
taken social media by storm.
No.
It's a young guy who writes the song about just how rough a shape our country is in. He's got like 17 million views on YouTube. He gets offered $8 million.
I did see. Okay, I didn't hear the song, but I saw this story.
He turns it down. He says, no. He says, I want a simple life. I'm just upset with America. Turns it down. But there's a lot of people that are just really, our country is being destroyed before our very eyes. Freedom's being taken away. I'll say what they're doing to President Trump is an absolute disgrace. I've never seen anything like it before in my life, weaponized judicial system.
Can you talk about that some more? Because I'm so confused about it. I'm not a politics person, but I would like to have more information, like from someone like you.
So, you guys follow any of this? Marcella, do you follow any of the Trump stuff or no?
No, I don't know what's happening.
Okay. So it's important I know this because you are so influential on TikTok, on Instagram,
Mhm.
right? I'm watching what you're doing. You know, all the kids that you are with.
Yeah.
So I think it's important that people stay at least somewhat involved. You don't have to be a junkie, but stay somewhat involved. What has happened is they don't want President Trump to win again. I mean, that's the bottom line. And they will do anything to stop him from winning. I believe the election was stolen. I believe there's lots of evidence that the election was stolen the last time around. We've started to fix some of those problems. Not all those problems are fixed, but some of them. They think the only way they can stop President Trump is by arresting him and putting him in prison. And so they'll do anything they can. This latest indictment out of Georgia, okay, talk about tweets. One of the lines tweeted as an overt act of conspiracy, okay? An overt act is Georgia hearings on the election are now on CNN. Amazing. He wants people to watch. Go watch One America News, hearings on in Arizona. They put these as acts of some kind of conspiracy to commit fraud. These are tweets. This is a freedom of speech issue.
Mm-hmm.
He's allowed to say these things. And now they've charged him with crimes.
Just from that?
That's one indictment. Yeah, the other indictment is he had classified documents at his Mar-a-Lago home. But they were working with the National Archives to return some of the documents. Some of the documents he believes he's owned. The Presidential Records Act says, in my opinion, he's allowed to have some of these documents. And the president is the top of the line when it comes to declassifying anything. Only the president can declassify anything in government. He could say, I'm declassifying all of this while he's president. So anything he had is declassified if he says it is. You don't need to write down anything. Yet they've charged him with having declassified documents. And you look at Joe Biden, who had classified documents during his time in the United States Senate that are in a garage next to his Corvette. Hunter Biden's running around next to him. The Gardners running around next to him. Who knows who's running around? Thousands of these documents all over the place. And you think anything happens to him? No.
That's what's so confusing.
Yes.
I don't understand that.
So it's very, very sad because, you know, you go up against, lucky he's a billionaire because he can afford to defend himself.
Right.
What do I do if they come after me? What if they don't like my story and they say you were conspiring with President Trump when you did the January 6th thing? We're charging you, even though you guys know I'm not. I'm just free speech. Now I've got to defend myself. They could bust me defending myself that way, and they know that, and they want to bust you. They want people ruined. Truth is, I think they want President Trump 6 feet in the ground.
I'm surprised that has not happened.
You think someone would kill him?
I thought that when he was president. I was like, I felt bad for the family. I was like, that seems so scary and stressful.
He would be a target. What's your biggest concern?
My what?
Your biggest concern?
With the country?
Yeah, with anything. What do you worry about? Like, I know you got your business, you got your stuff. What do you worry about? Or nothing? Because I want that life. If you don't worry about anything,
I worry about
I know what she worries about.
Like, I don't know.
She worries about like the food and the water. This country,
our health
the problem,
system.
our health system. The freedom of making health decisions. I don't like being told what I can do and not do.
The schools with the kids.
Schools. Yep.
The teachers that are influencing children's minds in public school. Now, I work with a lot of private school kids. So
you know what I love? So you told me you don't follow it. But these are the biggest issues that my hardcore conservatives are talking about. So you do follow it.
Yeah.
Maybe you just don't know you follow it as much as you do.
I don't know anything really, like the whole politics thing and some of that. I'm just so ADD that I'm like, I have no idea what's going on. So I'm not really paying attention like that.
Well, it gets stressful.
Yeah. And I had to take a break from the whole food situation in this country. And, I don't know what's true and what's not, but it's like when you go to other countries and you eat their food, it is different. Or she's from Austria, so it's a different, I'm like, are they trying to poison us? I don't know. Is our water bad? Like now I got too involved in that. So I had to kind of stop.
So, they're going, we got to be careful on YouTube, but they're looking to use vaccine style things in animals now.
I saw that.
And then this raises the question, what happens when that goes from the animal to you when you consume the meal? And honestly, I don't think we should talk about it because YouTube will take you down for this.
So,
and your own health decisions, especially for people's kids and the vaccination thing with your children. And